Yes. Look, this video is going to be mostly about Warcraft 1 and 2, but if you're just here to know if they've fixed Warcraft 3 Reforged, yes, it is way better. Okay. Greetings, gamers. There are currently 7.8 billion people in the world, and every single one of them has played World of Warcraft. However, if you didn't know, especially amongst the younger gamers out there, before Warcraft was Blizzard's infinite money glitch, it was in fact a series of pretty popular strategy games. And I love strategy games. If you watched my video about Frostpunk or Mechadvellum, you may know that already, but if not, God, I love strategy games so much. And that started with Warcraft. Warcraft 2, specifically. It was probably the first real video game I ever played, besides, like, Cereal Box and Scholastic games. Pajama Sam was goated, though. I stand by that. Now, while the first two Warcraft games came out before I was born, my dad, who is a big fan of both fantasy and strategy games, played them quite a lot. So, from the time I was just a wee little boy, I would sit with him and basically watch him play, and then eventually play them myself a little bit. Warcraft 3 would come out not long thereafter, and the rest was history. Warcraft 3 will be getting its own dedicated video that will be much longer, because that game deserves it. But today, I wanted to check out Warcraft 1 and 2 remastered and see, how are the ports and how are the games themselves. I've never played Warcraft 1 and I haven't played Warcraft 2 in probably like 15 years. So, let's do this.
The Age of Chaos. Two factions battled for dominance. The Knights of Stormwind and the clerics of Norsha Abbey roamed far and wide, serving the king's people with honor and justice. Then came the Orcish hordes. With an ingenious arsenal of weaponry and powerful magic, these two forces collide in a contest of cunning, intellect, and brute strength, with the victor claiming dominance over the whole of Azeroth. Welcome to the world of Warcraft.
See? They said it. They said it. The title of this video, that was not me. I was not clickbait. They said it, alright? Also, did you catch, Stormwind? Talk about a glow up, eh? Warcraft 1 originally came out in 1994, and while it was not the first RTS game, it was the third one. Yes, after Dune 2 and Herzog Zwei, we have now gone so far back in time we can count the number of entries in each genre, not just franchise. We're now 30 years later, however, and Warcraft has just gotten a shiny new remaster. So, how is it? Well, the remaster is great. All of the new art is fantastic. It takes the original sprites and updates them to be better, but also maintains kind of the spirit of the original. And it's easy to tell that they did this because, pretty cool, this game lets you switch back and forth between the old and the new graphics on the fly with the push of a button. I like that a lot. I think it's very cool. They also redid all of the music, which is excellent. Honestly, I usually like old video game music, but the old music in this game just sounds kind of like random beep boop computer noises. It hardly even sounds like music, so I appreciated the updated soundtrack a lot. And that is, I think, exactly what a remaster of this sort should be. Update everything to be a more modern standard, but keep the spirit, the vibe, if you will, of the original, and maintain, most importantly, the gameplay. But how is the gameplay that it maintains? Well, it's rough. I'm not gonna lie to you. This was tough, okay? This game is so old. Oh my god. The game is split up into two campaigns, orcs and humans. Who would have guessed? and I started with the Orc campaign for no other reason than it was the one on the left. Each mission begins with a little voiceover describing what we're doing and who we're murdering today. And I gotta say, the voice actor in this game, yes, voice actor singular, there's only one, he's incredible though. The writing is horrifically bad, but he just commits 100% to it, to all the absurdity, and it's awesome. He's great.
Like the stinging of a wasp, the attacks from the humans grow more and more bothersome. You have been assigned to a small outpost on the borderlands of the Swamps of Sorrow. You are to defend our lands from the incursions of these ravenous dogs by crushing any opposition that you encounter.
So the intro in this first mission tells me that I am some random orc working for Blackhand, which, hey, that's a name I recognize, and my mission is to build some farms. Yes, the first mission in one of the most prolific series in video game history is to build some farms. Okay, well, that's not super exciting, but it is a tutorial. I load in, and I immediately, I look around. The art is all great. The music's cool. I've got a couple of grunts to start with, a peon, and wait a second. Where's my gold mine? You don't start with a gold mine. You start near a gold mine, but it could be pretty much anywhere in the fog of war in your sort of general vicinity. So I guess you better start hunting for your gold there, buddy. And just immediately searching for the gold mine at the very start, you will immediately tell the biggest problem with this game, which is the unit movement, I guess, sort of in totality. It's very slow, they move very slow, and the pathing is just horrendously bad. Oh my god. Your units will be going up, down, side to side, and in circles, however that quote goes.
Go up, down, sideways, or in fucking circles.
Trying to get to wherever they're going. In a straight line. God help you if there is a building or any sort of obstacle in the way. It's terrible. I cannot emphasize this enough. It's terrible. I had been playing Warcraft 3 for like a couple days before I hopped into this one. And if you played Warcraft 3, you already know the pathing in that game is a bit weird and janky. But this game, it's so bad. Oh my god. The units also all move at the same speed, which does mean that if you have a unit who's getting chased by something, if you just run in a straight line, the enemy will never catch you. Because the pathing is too bad, they can't do it. So, it's pretty stupid, but this does lead to some very funny moments where you'll have like a peon or a peasant who's getting chased by some enemies, and you can just kind of kite them out forever, but then your soldiers also can't catch the enemy, so it's just this conga line of spaghetti code, which, cue the Benny Hills theme. Besides the movement, the rest of the game is also just slow. The whole game just is slow, is probably the best way I can describe it. It takes a lot of resources to make anything, and you get resources very slowly, because usually all the resources seem to always spawn very far away from your town hall. There are no unit queues either. There'll probably be a couple like Turbo StarCraft 2 players who are like, oh, you shouldn't use unit queues anyway, because you can use the money elsewhere. But for those of us who don't have TI-84s built into our brain, they're quite useful. Another thing that slows down how fast you gather resources is that if two peasants are chopping the same tree, when one of them finishes it, the other one will just get booted to the side and have to go start over on another tree. And since it takes forever for them to chop down a single tree, this is actually it sounds like a nitpick, but I promise this is actually like really annoying and it uses so much of your time. And the maps are surprisingly huge. especially in the earlier missions when there's not a lot going on. For example, the second mission on both sides is to make a little base and hunt down all of the enemies on the map. There are no enemy buildings, sorry. There's just a handful of individual units scattered here and there. The map is gigantic relative to how many things there are on it. And it just takes so long to go all the way and clear every corner and every little nook and cranny through trees to find every enemy unit. It's exhausting. And this is the second mission. Oh, and look how small your vision is, by the way. Apparently, Stormwind had some sort of contagious form of myopia going around, and I know that's not a real thing, but I have no other reason for explaining how no unit can see beyond 5 feet of where they're standing. Mentioning the Fog of War, though, the Fog of War does not function how you would expect if you've played any other RTS ever, because it doesn't come back. When you send a unit to scout out an area, it stays revealed forever. Which does mean, you could just take one peasant or peon, full send them into the enemy base, and then they can't catch you because the pathing is too bad, so then you just have the whole enemy base revealed for the rest of the game. Which is a bit OP, probably. I don't think there was a big competitive scene for this game, though, so they probably didn't figure that out. Moving on from the major complaints, there are also just some quality of life things that are missing beyond the unit queues. There's no rally points, which isn't a big deal, but it's a bit annoying. They did add command groups in with the remaster. It's nice that they're here now, and it's rough. The game is like a design document for a game that they wanted to make and just didn't have either the time or the resources to do it. I did not finish Warcraft 1. I beat the Orc campaign, just so I could say I did. I did. And I made it like a couple missions into the human campaign, and I just was not having fun, so I stopped. So this is a remaster of a very clunky game. That's, I guess, there you go. There's the tagline. Now, after the experience of Warcraft 1, I was very nervous going into Warcraft 2. Because as I said at the beginning of this, I am very nostalgic for Warcraft 2. I remember loving that game. So I was like, well, maybe the game actually sucked, and I was just a dumb child. However, I am pleased to report, Warcraft 2 absolutely slaps. This game is awesome still. I don't know what Blizzard did in the year between Warcraft 1 and 2, but I assume it involved a lot of cocaine and late-night coding sessions, which, given Blizzard's reputation, might actually be true. Moving on, I'm not going to go into the exact details of the remaster itself, because it's pretty much the same thing as the first game, updated graphics and art and menus and quality of life stuff, but the game itself is just so much better. The graphics, far better. You can actually see what the units are supposed to be and what they're doing. They're much more detailed. I actually spent most of the time playing this with the older graphics because I just think they're still great. The pathing is way better. It's still, look, it's a mid-90s game, it's still a bit janky, obviously, but it's so much better. You can actually hit the things you're trying to hit most of the time. Units can move in straight lines now. Wild, I know. The Fog of War acts as you'd expect, and your units can actually see further than the length of their erect cocks. You get resources faster, so much faster. Units don't take as long to build, and there's still no unit queues, but you're probably going to actually get enough resources to have like a second barracks, so it speeds up the process massively. It's wonderful. Something I didn't even mention in the Warcraft 1 section of this is that in Warcraft 1, you, besides the peasants and peons, there's like 6 or 7 different attacking units. This game ups that to like 15, so more than double, and it's great. Adds a ton more strategic depth to the game, and also boats. The boats are great. I love the naval combat in this game. I don't care what anybody says. I think it's wonderful. There are entire missions and multiplayer map that where you just spawn on like a little island, and everybody else spawns on their own little island, and you have to rely entirely on transport ships and naval combat. I love it. I wish it was in Warcraft 3. I'm sure they didn't bring it back for a reason. People probably hated it or something. I think it's dope. Also, the voice lines for the orc ships are the greatest thing in the entire world.
Yes, Captain. You're the captain. You're the captain. Ahoy. Yes, you're the captain. Ahoy.
The missions are similar, albeit just streamlined a bit, less tedious. For example, in the first mission on each side, instead of having to build 6 farms in a barracks, you only have to build 3 farms and a barracks. Wow. I am just glazing this game at this point. I should probably stop before I just, bust all over the place. Are there things that annoy me? Sure, like I could talk about how you have to hunt down every single building and unit on the maps, which is kind of annoying. I could mention how sometimes the game starts you with a single peasant, so you just have to sit there for like 2 minutes and watch him build a whole town hall. But shut up, this game is perfect. It's my channel, I'm nostalgic, alright? The game is perfect, don't say anything bad about it. I am calm. So is the remastered battle chest worth it? Absolutely. Warcraft 2 and Warcraft 3 are incredible games, and the remasters are great, and Reforged is actually good now, so yes, this is worth it. Warcraft 1, very rough, probably not worth your time, unless maybe if you're like a huge Warcraft fan, maybe give it a shot, but for the most part, I'd probably avoid it. Just play 2 and 3, they're awesome. Anyway, that does it for me. I love Warcraft 2, goodbye.